You're listening to Mind, Body, Home with your host, Sara Ann. Happy Thanksgiving week. I know a lot of us are prepping for holiday festivities, whether it's holiday dinners and holiday shopping and all the things. It's also a time where we're going to be connecting with family and friends. Some we see often, and some perhaps we don't see as often. But I think it's an important thing to address sort of energetically what's playing out right now in our communities, in our society, in our family units, especially coming off of an election year and of a rather intense one for sure. There's a lot of emotions at play. There's a lot of momentum and energy focused on division, right? And you're seeing a lot more conversation around unity. And, that's what the holidays really are meant for, is to bring this sort of sense of unity and togetherness. And so hopefully, with a few tips that I've prepared for you today, we can start to create that sense of unity within our own family units. With Mind Body Home, often talk about how our home is it's our little plot here on this really big earth. And I think that when we tend to it, this little tiny plot, we can then, we create this ripple effect out into the world. That's really our little piece of land is really all we have control over. But I think it really starts there. And so I can't help but think in the same way when it comes to your family unit and the way you nurture that has a ripple effect out into the world as well. So today we're going to talk about 3 ways to energetically prepare yourself and your home for holiday get togethers, whether you're hosting or whether you are going to someone's home. There's some exercises and things to think about so that you can put more intention behind it and so that you can have the experience that you actually want to have rather than the experience that has kind of always been had in the past. I know a lot of people talking to them, they're just sort of feeling uneasy about seeing family and what the conversation is going to be like, and oh, I hope we don't go down that hole and whatever, right? So I'm here to help ease your anxieties a bit, give you some practical tips that you can use so that you can have a much better experience this coming week, whether it's Thanksgiving or if you're traveling to others' homes for the holidays and parties and get togethers and all those things. And look, it's not just family units, it's also in friendship circles and social circles. So these are tips that go beyond the week of Thanksgiving. But before I dive into all that, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to my email list. I have been in the creative zone recently and have been creating amazing free content that I will only be sharing with my community. In fact, this week, I'm giving my subscribers 30% off to use on services or on gifts and decor that can be found on my website, jadescottdesign.com. And later this week, I'll also be sending out my mindful holiday gift guide, sort of my version of Oprah's favorite things, if you will. But again, you have to be subscribed to my email community to receive it. Mainly because I'm shifting away from social media, at least for now. I've been sort of on and off of it over the years. And the more I stay off, the more connected I feel to myself and what I value, and really connected to my readers and listeners, because it's important to me that the people I'm sharing my voice with and my work with actually want to be there to hear it. And so if that's you, you're going to want to ensure you're subscribed so that you don't miss all the goodies and freebies and discounts when I make them available. There's a link in today's show notes to subscribe. And when you do, like I said, you'll be getting that gift guide soon. So I just have a little bit of buttoning up to do on it, but it will be coming out later this week or early next week. So let's dive into today's conversation. I have 3 things for you that I would do energetically to align my home and my personal energy in preparation for the holidays. And you can do these if you are hosting and you have people coming to your home, but you can also do these exercises and activities if you're going to someone else's home for holiday dinner, parties, social events, whatever. So the first thing I would do is I would clear and cleanse my home, not just my home, but also my mental landscape, right? Mind, body, home. So do a little bit of decluttering in the home. This is actually a really good time to go through some things and offload anything in your home that you no longer want. And one of the things that I commonly hear from clients is like they just don't want to get rid of it. They don't want to just throw something away. Even if it had value to them or meant something to them at some point in their lives, and it doesn't add that value now, or they don't fully resonate with it anymore. I'm going through that so much right now as I go through stuff that I had in my home in Pennsylvania. It's not hitting the way it hit in Pennsylvania. And it's so interesting for me to explore this for myself when, I help clients with this. And so it's just a reminder of how challenging it can be to give things away. And I have quite a few pieces of artwork that I am not ready to let go of because I really do still like the pieces. They simply don't work in this home. And I'm trying to even think ahead, like, will this work in my home in the future state? Because again, we're just renting. I don't know. I don't know. And so with those sorts of items, I'm sort of just packing them away. I'm not ready to let go of them. And that's okay. I want you to remember when it comes to decluttering, you don't have to get rid of immediately, but you can pack it away and maybe revisit it when the time feels right. So just know that that's an option. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now, for the sake of the holidays and being around family and friends, is pieces of furniture or jewelry or other household goods like your linens or, maybe photographs or art and decor. Is there potentially another family member or a friend that might want it? You don't have to force it on them. You can just simply state in conversation that you're thinking about getting rid of it and maybe getting some new pieces, doing some updating. And you never know, right? You might find that like your brother or your sister always wanted that piece and wished that it was handed off to them. Or, maybe one of your grandchildren or your niece or nephews, right? Maybe they're like, oh, this has always been one of my favorite pieces in your home. You never know who's admiring your things. And, that brings me back to, some of the pieces I remember my aunt having as a kid and just, thinking like I've always noticed that piece of art, and I would love to have something like that now. So just because something doesn't mean as much to you anymore, it might for someone else. Just see if anyone's interested in taking it. If they're not, and you're not fully ready to let it go, pack it away. But just doing some housekeeping around the house. What a perfect time to do that. The holidays are coming. And even if you don't want to give it to them right away, it's something you could wrap up in a gift and present it to them in a few weeks. I don't know, just seems a little bit more personable, right? When we gift in that way. So take some time, go through your house, see if there's any treasures that you think might work for someone else. The next thing to do with cleaning and clearing your home is, like I said, also your mental landscaping. So take some time before, let's just use Thanksgiving for an example, since it's here this week. Do some intentional writing, right? Especially if there's tension, as I mentioned, with political tension and just knowing that different personalities are going to be coming together. You know who those people are at big family events who just tend to get under your skin, right? But like I was saying a few weeks ago with the law of attraction, is really putting your focus on what it is you do want, how you want the day or the dinner to go, and not focusing on, what's always been said in the past or how much this person irritates you or whatever. I think you get my point. Really focusing on how you want your experience to go and really, not just thinking about it, but really like pulling in the energy, the feeling of how you want to feel when you leave for the day or when they leave your home. Like, how do you want to feel? Like, Do you want to focus on feeling like exhausted and just ready for bed? Or do you want to focus on like, wow, that was actually a really nice dinner? And oh, I'm so impressed by Billy Joe not getting, all wound up and drank too much and said too much, right? Like be aware of where you're putting your attention and focus. And as I mentioned, do some intentional writing. Like some examples might include, I'm so excited that this Thanksgiving is full of loving family and longtime friends and so many milestones to celebrate. Or today, I find gratitude in my heart for fill in the blank, my brother in law, my aunt, my cousin, right? Whoever that person is that sort of sets you off. Doing it in that way, it's not denying your psyche's true feelings for your brother in law or whoever on most days. But for today, you're able to put these feelings aside and focus on finding love and appreciation for that person instead. And again, this exercise works whether you're hosting at your home and inviting people into your home or you're going to another home. So cleanse and clear your home and mental landscape. Number two, prepare and enhance your family and community center of your home. So if you have not downloaded the Bagua yet, there's a link in the show notes for you to grab a copy of that. The family and community center of your home is aligned on the left center side of your home if you're standing at your front door looking into your home. Left center wall, whatever sits there is your family center. So, this is a great place to energize with the wood element because that is the element associated to family and community, right? Wood element, plant element, strong roots. This is where you're rooted in tradition and values and, all of those things that represent the family or a strong community. You can enhance this area quite literally. But if it is not an area that is exposed to other people in your home, or it's a room that's not really in the entertaining area, connect with the energy of that family center by using family china, bring out family heirlooms, jewelry, or mementos from loved ones of those that are with you now and of those who have passed. So, in essence, you're sort of creating like these little focal points of conversation with intention. And the intention is focused on family and gratitude, thankful that they're in your life. And change it up. If you do have an area, if you're hosting and you do have an area in your home that is, the family center is exposed to the entertaining area and people will be sort of mingling in and out of there, it's a great opportunity to sort of change up the decor a little bit. When you were going through the decluttering and cleaning and clearing process, did you go through some old photos, maybe refresh some photos in new frames? And, you know, I find that what that does is when you change it up, you sort of create this like attention to the area. Think about when you were little and you went to your grandma's house or you went to your aunt's house, like everything was the same all the time. You knew where everything was. Photographs were never really rearranged. Decor was never really rearranged. That's what I'm saying. Change it up because, changing up things, it moves the energy for yourself and your home, but it also creates this energy of like newness rather than the same old, same old. And what it does is it actually inspires others that come to your home to look around and ask questions and spark conversations rather than the same old conversations. So, do you see where I'm going with this? It's about just shifting the energy from what has always been to something new, especially when we need to kind of redirect our focus on unity, togetherness, right? So, this is a really cool exercise. And again, if you are going to someone's house and you're not entertaining at your home, you can still do this in your own home to sort of connect with that energy of, let's spark a new conversation. Let's start over. Let's not go back and, rehash the past. Let's not go back and talk about, the election. Like let's really focus on our family and what's important to us and really convey that through familial objects like photographs, trinkets, heirlooms, mementos, right? Bring out grandma's jewelry and display it in a wooden bowl or in a dish and set it on the coffee table and just, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember? I always remember. I had this one aunt who always wore this plastic little Santa Claus pin, and you'd pull the little string and his like arms and legs would move up. Like that is something I would put out. Like if I was hosting for me and my cousins to, you're like, oh my gosh, Aunt Net would always wear this, right? So this is just, these are just ideas to kind of get your own mind sort of churning. So number two is to prepare and enhance your family and community center, rearrange some things in your home, spark new conversations and new energy. The last thing I would do is prime yourself with empathy for yourself and for other people, right? The other people being those that are maybe difficult for you to be around. And during the holidays, we sort of feel forced to be around. So, empathy is one of those things like emotions where I don't think we've been, well, it's not that I think, I know we haven't been taught how to empathize, whether it's showing ourselves enough grace when things happen or empathizing for someone else, right? This is a skill that can be harnessed and can have a real big impact on your well being in a positive way. So, empathy is something I've been working on myself and with my kids, especially now that they're getting older and they're starting to witness, how cruel people can be sometimes. And not even people, it's really just behaviors that are cruel. People themselves are not cruel. But for my kids, they're entering their tweens. And quite often now they're coming home and telling me about something someone said to them or a behavior that someone did, and I always allow them to feel the way they're feeling and sort of consciously complain and share. But we always end the conversation with empathy, understanding maybe why the person's behavior is the way it is. And can you imagine what if something is going on in their family life? Like we never really know what someone's going through. So learning how to empathize for that person is so critical so that we aren't walking around harboring resentment and letting our feelings fester and build, leading to a more damaging act, right? Of like aggression towards that person or turning it on ourselves, right? And harming ourselves internally because we're repressing it and we're walking around blaming ourselves that we deserved to be treated in that way by that person. So you can see how a lack of empathy really can be quite damaging to ourselves and to others. So it's critical at this time to practice empathy. Empathy is needed because we have our emotions, our really strong emotions. They're like running high. They're running so high that it literally burns us out. And then we have sort of this low emotional reserve to pull from. So there's an imbalance there. And I really think that empathy is sort of that balance, which is something I think we all can relate to in the most recent weeks and months coming off a political election. So, what can you do? You prime yourself. I really want you to try an exercise where you visualize the person that stresses you out. Like I said, whether it's your brother-in-law, your aunt, your mother, who knows? I mean, there's always that person or few persons that really get under our skin. And so the exercise I want you to do is to visualize that person as a small child and do this for at least a minute or as long as you'd like until the visualization feels complete for you. So when you think of a baby or a small child or a puppy or something just cute and innocent, right? It's kind of hard to not feel empathy. It's hard to not soften, right? It's because we all have this innocent within us. And we have to be reminded that we've only allowed our judging mind to sort of take over or the ego mind take over for far too long that we've forgotten this innocent side of ourselves and others. So simply imagine the other person as this sweet, innocent child that they truly are. And I know this might be easier said than done, but take the time to prime yourself a few days prior to the event or holiday dinner Get a really clear picture in your mind of this person standing in their innocence so that you can use this image down the road if you need to. If you feel yourself starting to get hijacked at dinner or over drinks and conversation, you have this visualization in your back pocket because you can simply do this exercise in the back of your mind, literally as you're having this conversation with them. You can do this at any time. So, priming yourself with empathy is such an amazing tool. And the more you practice it with yourself and with others, you're going to really find that you're sort of taking control of your mind and your body and your environment. Your environment being maybe like not your home, but sort of like your auric bubble, right? Like that energetic bubble that sits around us. Like you're taking control of that so that another person can't penetrate that and hijack you of feeling the way you want to feel. Remember, getting back to that intentional writing. How do you want to feel at dinner in this moment? I think that if you take the time to be clear about that, and then you have a tool in your back pocket to sort of help you when you're not so much in control, you're really setting yourself up for success rather than setting yourself up for failure. So I know this is a big week for so many people, especially coming off this election. Energy around it still has not dissipated. It's still very fresh and very new. And a lot of us have differing opinions. But as I stated in the beginning, one of the best things we can do is tend to our own energy. And from that place, everything ripples out into our family units, into our homes, into our communities, and the world at large. So it really does start with you. I hope that you'll take the time to prime yourself in your home for holiday guests or for bringing your energy out into the world. One last reminder, make sure you're on my email list to receive 30% off JSD offerings this week only for Thanksgiving week. It is my gift to my community. And soon I will be sharing that holiday gift guide that I mentioned earlier. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And until next week, I'm sending you so much love and gratitude.